And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we will be discussing how the mortgage industry is in need of a bailout immediately. As I've been stating time and time again on this channel, whenever the government intervenes in the marketplace, there will always be unintended consequences. And one of those unintended consequences is that because homeowners are now allowed to not pay their mortgages for at least 90 days and up to 1 year, that is putting tremendous pressure on a lot of the mortgage brokers and servicers of this debt. I've been highlighting this and I've been screaming this time and time again. When you try to solve one problem over here, you create another problem over there. That's because our entire economy is a house of cards. It's like dominoes. You have a whole bunch of dominoes stacked up. So now that homeowners are not going to be paying their mortgage, we're going to have a lot of dominoes that are going to start to fall in other places. And as I've been saying, the $6 trillion that they've printed up to bail out the economy, that's nowhere near enough. It's going to take at least another $10 trillion to get this economy up and running again, which means if you are invested in precious metals, precious metal mining stocks, and crypto, the more they print, the more the money printer goes burr, it's going to make us more and more money. So as you come into the live stream, please like this video, share this video, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Also, make sure that you join my mailing list so that you never miss any of my live streams or any of the videos that I upload. You also can follow me on my Instagram if you want to contact me. And if you want to support the content financially, a link to my PayPal will be in the description below. What we're going to do today is we're going to hop over to the iPad and I'm going to walk you through how a mortgage is originated and how it flows through the system and how the system is fragile. So that once you start getting this cascade of people not paying, because a lot of these pension funds are holding a lot of the mortgage-backed securities, which is basically a whole bunch of mortgages gobbled together, it creates contagion in the system and it begins to spread throughout the system. So that's what I'm about to do. Give me 1 second. Let me take a sip of my water. And let's flip over to the iPad. Move my mic down some. So don't make fun of my drawing, guys. I did the best that I could do. So as you can see right here, the CARES Act, the legislation was passed. And what the CARES Act basically did was if you have a government-backed mortgage through the FHA, etc., it allows you to not have to pay your mortgage for at least 90 days up to 1 year. So let's walk through how is a mortgage even originated. Here you are. I'm going to basically use a check mark every time I highlight something. You have you over here. You see this nice house and you said to yourself, I want this home. Now, remember, I keep telling you guys time and time again that money is debt. And the only way that the economy can grow is by consumers basically consuming and going into debt. So when you go to mortgage broker Bob over here and he originates a mortgage for you, that money is basically sprung into the economy out of thin air. And then now that loan, as soon as it's originated, they ship that over here to a bank. Now understand, this is interchangeable. A bank can originate the loan. A mortgage broker can originate the loan. In this example right here, we're just simply using the mortgage broker, right? So he gets a fee for originating the mortgage. He then ships that over to a bank. Now the bank has that mortgage on their balance sheet. What banks do is they package this up into a security known as a mortgage-backed security, as you can see here, an MBS. Or they can kick this loan over to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac or Penny Mac. These are known as aggregators. So both Fannie and Freddie or the bank can then take a pool of these mortgages and securitize them and then go into the open market and sell these to potential investors. Now, most of the time, these potential investors are pension funds. Why is that? Because pension funds, they want the slow and steady money. So every month that you're paying your mortgage, the interest on that is going to basically get paid out to this pension fund. And it's the servicer, broker, however the relationship is at that institution, to facilitate that. They're going to collect that payment and they're going to funnel that payment through whoever's holding the paper. And then that money's going to get funneled to the pension fund. And they're basically living off of that interest. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. That's how money flows through the economy. The problem with this is that if you right here are now having in hardship and you're not paying your mortgage, well, this pension fund, they're not getting paid now because that interest that they're supposed to be living off of, that they're generating off of you, you're not paying now. So now the servicer is still on the hook to pay the bondholders. That's a problem. And this goes back to, again, how fragile the economy is, because you being in trouble basically impacts the entire system. So now, who has to step in? The Fed has to step in. How is the Fed going to step in? The Fed's going to step in by doing what? Printing money out of thin air. But see, here's one of the problems. Prior to this, the Fed was coming into the market and they were buying up mortgage-backed securities. Why? Because the Fed was trying to artificially drive down rates. Remember, markets move off of supply and demand. An efficient and healthy market is the marketplace is going to set the value of a particular asset and what the interest rate should be. Well, the Fed is trying to push rates down. So they're going into the market and they're buying up these MBSs, right? These mortgage-backed securities. Well, understand supply and demand. If the Fed is buying up the bonds, that's pushing price up and pushing rates down. Well, these mortgage brokers, they're hedging themselves, because what a mortgage broker does is that they lock themselves into an agreement with you for 30 days. So, for example, if you go and you get this mortgage, they may lock you in at, let's say, 3.5%. Cool. That's great. And they're hedging themselves on the upside in case rates spike. So let's say they have a hedge on up to 7%. The problem is when the Fed's coming into the market and soaking up and adding all of that liquidity because they don't want rates to go up, well, they throw all of these hedges into haywire. And then what happens is that when the market goes into haywire, the mortgage brokers, they're getting margin calls to the point where now they're going to need a bailout. And it's funny that you said that, El Cool J, because that goes back to the video I did about the FDIC. Yes, they may have insurance, but if you have insurance that may cover a 4% or 5% failure rate, but you're talking about 30 to 40 to 50% of the servicers or the originators going belly up, that's a problem. They weren't expecting hundreds of thousands of people to not be paying their mortgage. Because remember, the economy's operating extremely efficient, right? There's no real margin for error. The margin for error is 3%, 4%. But we're having a once in a lifetime, once in a generation pandemic that's going to potentially affect millions of people. And this goes back to, like I said before, contagion all over again. And for those of you who may want me to walk through this again, I have no problem walking through it again. We could just simply take all this stuff off the screen. It's really, really simple. It's not complicated. And they try to make things seem more complicated than what they truly are. It's really not that complicated. Money is debt. And all of these people, if you see how the money flows through the system, everyone is basically getting a piece of money off of you. The bank is making fees off of you. The originator is making fees off of you. Fannie and Freddie, the aggregators are making fees and interest off you. And then the pension funds are making, interest off of you as well. And again, like I said, I'll just walk you through the process. It's fairly simple. It's not complex and complicated at all. Here it is. You have yourself. You see a nice home right here. You want to buy the home. You're willing to go into debt to buy yourself a home. Okay. You go over here to the mortgage broker, Bob. Bob says, no problem. Let's do the deal. Bob originates that mortgage for you. Before the ink can even dry on that mortgage, Bob is already putting that mortgage over here to the banks, or he's sending that mortgage over here, to Fannie, Freddie, or Penny Mac. And then either the bank or the aggregator is going to take a pool of these mortgages, securitize them, and create mortgage-backed securities. And they're going to go into the marketplace, into the open market, and they're going to sell these mortgage-backed securities. And most of the time, the people who buy mortgage-backed securities, one of the biggest buyers, are pension funds. Why? Because pension funds want to make stable money. Well, there's nothing more stable than people paying their mortgage. And this goes back to what gives the dollar value. It's not the military. It's no crazy conspiracy theory. It's debt. All of your debt is denominated in dollars. Therefore, you have to work for more dollars to pay it. So everything is fine as long as you're paying this mortgage. Everyone gets their fees. And the pension fund, every month, they're going to collect the interest. The problem comes into play is when you stop paying. The broker or servicer, whoever originated that loan, they're responsible for collecting that payment from you and distributing that payment throughout the system to who the payment needs to go to. But the problem is that you're not paying now for 90 days up to a year. So now they're on the hook to make that payment. Now, a lot of you keep saying, yeah, but don't they have insurance? Yes, that goes back to the FDIC. The FDIC insures you for up to $250,000. The problem is that they don't have enough for a 30, 40, 50% default rate, right? When you understand that for most insurance funds, they're looking at a 3%, 4%, maybe 5% default rate. There's not enough money in the hedges that they have and in the insurance funds that they have to cover this. So this is where the Fed has to step in. This is where money printing has to come into play. And as I said to you before, the hedges that they had on these mortgage-backed securities, because the Fed has been going into the mortgage-backed securities market to artificially push rates down. Well, yeah, the Fed's pushing rates down, but it's messing up a lot of the hedges that they had in play. So now what are they going to have to do? They're literally going to have to print trillions of dollars to get this fixed. And this goes back to what I was saying to you guys before. It has unintended consequences time and time again. Because these brokers here, they're in trouble because they have to make these payments to this pension fund. They're responsible to pay the bondholders. Well, the servicers and the brokers can't do it, and their hedges aren't working. So this creates what is known as moral hazard and unintended consequences. And like someone just said, this goes back to 2008. And yes, Big King BJ, the insurance companies are over leveraged because the same thing happened with AIG with the credit default swaps and the derivatives that was on top of the mortgage-backed securities. Most of these insurance companies, to me, in my personal opinion, most insurance is a scam. Right? Most insurance companies are scams because when you really need them, they don't help you out. So this is going to be a major, major problem, and there's major contagion. And this goes back to my point, like I was saying before, the Fed is going to have to step in right here. The good old Fed, they're going to have to step in because if they don't, the pension funds don't get paid. And this goes back to what I was saying to you guys before about this is why the stock market, as an investor in the stock market, it's always going to perform well because so many people's life savings and retirement is tied to the stock market. So there's no way the Fed is going to let these pension funds hold that bad paper and not get paid. So they're going to print as much money as necessary to do that. And we've seen the same thing happen with the repo market. And let's go over here. And I read this article to you guys before, but I want to show you again. It says, this is the repo market. This is when the stock market was booming and pumping. It says, since September 17th, 2019, 6 months ago, the Federal Reserve has loaned billions of dollars to Wall Street every single business day that the stock market has been open. This is the first time this has been necessary since the financial crisis of 2008. The fact in itself makes this very much on par with the financial crisis of 2008. Since the Fed began its repo loan operations on September 17th, the tally of the Fed's cumulative loans to Wall Street's trading firms comes to more than $9 trillion. Using the Fed's own Excel spreadsheet of data, you have to manually remove the reverse repo dollar amount. Remember, guys, I did this before where I pulled up the actual Excel spreadsheet, and I'll do that for you later where you can see the actual dollar amounts. According to the Fed audit conducted by the Government Accountability Office, the GAO, from December 12, 2007 to July 21, 2010, a period spanning more than 31 months during the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression, the Fed's cumulative loans to Wall Street tallied $16.1 trillion. And here we are today, when everyone from Fed Chairman Jerome Powell to bank analyst Mike Mayo is telling the public that the banks have plenty of capital, and yet the Fed has pumped out 56% in 6 months of the amount it funneled to Wall Street banks over 31 months during the 2008 crisis. I want you to think about that. And the reason why they was doing that is because the repo market interest rates spiked. Well, we're starting to see volatility in the interest rates for the mortgage-backed securities. So again, this is what I try to tell you guys. This is why I buy gold and silver. I don't claim to be a top-level, high-level economist. I don't claim to be someone that can, tap into all of this great knowledge. It's just problem, reaction, solution. Follow the money. Follow history. We've seen this. Bailouts have been going on time and time again for decades. 2008 wasn't the first time the banks have been bailed out. It's not the first time that the auto industry has been bailed out. We've seen this happen time and time again because there's too much debt in the system, and the system is too fragile. Whenever you have a system that they try to keep, the more complexity you add into a system, the easier it is and more vulnerable it becomes to fall apart. Because everything is based upon you going into debt. And once you can no longer service your debt, it throws the entire system into a tailspin. And thank you for that donation, Raise Realm. Let's see what you had to say. A brother of mine delves into real estate and told me for decades, I'll lose money if I bought my own home. I'd rather rent out and live in the same multifamily as my tenants than expand. That goes back to my point when I tell you guys all the time. Investing's about personal finance. That's why it's called personal finance. You have to find what works for you. For some people, they're going to thrive in this environment. For example, like I was telling someone the other day, I would not be looking to touch any real estate right now because I know that there's so many more. There's more dominoes that has to fall before we can get up and running again. Certain companies have to go bankrupt. We have to wash out a lot of bad debt. A lot of people who over leverage themselves, they have to get washed out. And you're going to start seeing companies either mergers and acquisitions, or you're going to start to see bankruptcies, especially in the oil and gas space. You're going to see more bankruptcies. So this is why I wouldn't be looking to buy any stocks. I would not be looking to get into real estate right now unless you have experience and you're getting something you may find a distressed seller and you may be able to get something that's 15 or 20% below market value. That's different. Then that's a deal that you have to do, right? Like if you're a real estate investor and you're looking to acquire your portfolio and you have deep pockets and liquidity and you have access to financing, then yeah, you may want to put some money to work, right? But if you are an individual and you're doing the cash flow strategy where you're just looking to acquire a property every 3 to 5 years, I wouldn't be touching anything right now because I believe that you're going to be able to get stuff much lower. Why? Because we know that the government is slow to act. We already seen what happened with the PPP program, the EIDL loans, right? We've seen what's happening already. It's antiquated. It's not efficient. It's going to be a lot of red tape, and it's going to take months before they get everything streamlined and up and running. So if I'm an investor, I'm sitting on my hands right now. Now, I want to read some articles to you now that I walked you through basically how the loans are originated and how it flows through the system. And of course, it could. So Grant Cardone's over leveraged. We don't know. I don't really know Grant Cardone's financial situation. I haven't looked at Grant's business model too deeply to see how much cash he may have on hand. So it says PennyMac warns mortgage originators that forbearance buybacks could be coming. This is important because this is now the next domino. It says, with the housing industry at large raising alarms about mortgage servicers' desperate need for liquidity as more borrowers are requesting forbearance, the nation's largest mortgage aggregator is now warning originators that it could force them to buy back loans that go into forbearance. So now if you go back to the iPad, bundle up and put it into an MBS, if for any reason, what the hell just happened? Oh, don't tell me the stream went out. It looks like the stream, which grew last year into the largest mortgage aggregator in the country, told its correspondent originators that it will not buy any loan that is currently in forbearance. Beyond that, PennyMac also said that it may force originators to buy back a loan that goes into forbearance within 15 days of PennyMac buying it. This is what is known as Contagion. Is the audio still skipping out, guys? Tell me if the audio is skipping out now. Oh, man. Hold on real quick. No, okay. Just making sure. What does it mean to buy back the loan? I'll walk you through it right now. That's a good question. I'll show you what I'm talking about right now. So let's flip back over to the over to the iPad. So let's take this off the screen. Remember when I said that when a mortgage broker gives you this loan and he makes his fee right off the top, he then immediately takes that and he sells that mortgage over here to an aggregator known as Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, because they're going to take that and they're going to create a mortgage-backed security. What Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac does is that they don't want to hold that mortgage on their books for 30 years. That's not sexy enough to them. They can't make enough money from that. See, it's like playing hot potato with a grenade. I want to pull the pin and I want to keep tossing this to the next person, hoping that eventually it doesn't land on me and I blow up. So the mortgage broker immediately, as soon as he originates that mortgage, he sells it to a bank or to an aggregator, Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. And then they chop it up into bundles, into tranches, and then they create a mortgage-backed security. What PennyMac is saying is that if they buy one of these mortgages from the mortgage broker, and for any reason it goes into forbearance within 15 days, they're then going to take that mortgage and send it back to them because they can't make any money from that. So this is what is known as contagion. It creates spread because it's a domino effect. You stop paying your mortgage, right? So if you stop paying the mortgage, then now the pension fund, they're not making any money, but the servicer, the originator who originated the mortgage, they're still on the hook to pay the bondholders. Well, then they go belly up, they go bankrupt, they go bust. And then what happens? Now, because they're afraid that more people are going to lose their job, guess what the originators stop doing? They stop lending out money because they're saying to themselves, they're already over leveraged. They're not getting any relief, so they have to get bailed out. They have to get bailed out. And this goes back to, this is why I buy crypto. This is why I buy gold and silver. This is why I buy precious mining metal stocks, because I know that the Fed is going to step in and buy up all of these mortgage-backed securities. The Fed's going to step in and bail them out because the Fed doesn't want pension funds to lose money. Very simple. They're going to bail everyone out. So now the question is, what does that do to the value of the dollar? What does that do to the purchasing power of your dollar? Right? It's fairly simple what it does. Now start thinking about the REIT market. That's the next thing we want to talk about, right? Now we have to start talking about the REITs market. But I want to show you again, I love to always bring this up because this is the purchasing power of your dollar. And the dollar has lost well over 90% of its purchasing power within 100 years. And that's because of inflation. That's because of printing money. That's because of bailouts. And that's just the reality. The money printer will go brrr. You can believe that. So now, here it goes. Let's read a little bit of this article. It says, a broad coalition of mortgage and finance. Let's flip it over real quick. I always do that. Sorry about that, guys. This is what I was talking about right here about the dollar losing 90% of its purchasing power. This is its purchasing power of US dollar from 1913 to 2013. So the dollar's lost well over 90% of its purchasing power. Sorry about that, guys. It happens to me from time to time. I get stuck on the iPad. So let's read this article. As you can see, it says the mortgage bailout. I'm not going to say the name of this because it will demonetize the video. There is going to be complete chaos, says industry CEO. A broad coalition of mortgage and finance industry leaders on Saturday sent a plea to federal regulators asking for desperately needed cash to keep the mortgage system running during the pandemic, as requests for borrowers for the federal mortgage forbearance program are pouring in at an alarming rate. The CARES Act, which seeks to limit the economic damage from the pandemic, mandates that all borrowers with government-backed mortgages, about 62% of all first lien mortgages, according to Urban Institute, be allowed to delay at least 90 days of monthly payments and possibly up to a year's worth. I've been telling you guys this time and time again, over and over again. There's more dominoes that have to fall down. Free markets need to be able to operate freely. If you are over leveraged, this is why we have bankruptcy protection. Businesses should be allowed to file bankruptcy, because all that's going to happen is you're going to just keep creating moral hazard. Now, let's get over to the REITs, because the REITs are going to have problems as well, right? Because now you got to think about this. You have businesses coming out and saying they're not going to pay their mortgage. They're in trouble. They're not going to pay their rent. So a lot of these REITs, they own large strip malls or big complexes with a lot of stores in them. If people aren't going to pay their rent, businesses can't pay their rent, the REITs are going to be in trouble. Right? It says, we're referring to mortgage REITs, which borrow short-term to buy long-term mortgage-backed securities. Most of their profits, which come from the difference between the short-term borrowing cost and the interest they earn on the mortgage they own, get paid out in dividends. Excuse me. Making them popular with income-seeking investors. But when financial markets go haywire, they can get hit as their short-term borrowing costs jump, and that's what's happening now. The declines are reminiscent of the 2008-2009 financial crisis, but this time around, markets stresses didn't originate in the mortgage market. So there's a lot of contagion that's going to roll through different markets. And this is why I keep stressing to you, if you're an investor right now and you're looking to allocate capital to towards real estate, you need to make sure that you are doing your due diligence, you have a risk profile, and you are properly capitalized. Now is not the time to go out here and just think that, you know what, I'm going to go out here and just buy something because the market's low, because the market can go much lower. Now, again, if you can find a good deal, if you have your risk parameters in place and you understand your risk tolerances and you understand how much capital you have to allocate, go for it. But just make sure that you're doing your proper due diligence and you understand what you're going into. Because as I said before, I do not believe that this is going to be over within the next 30 to 60 days. I believe that this is going to last probably up until well into June and July. I believe that's when we'll probably start to see this taper off in a major way. But again, it's going to take at least $10 trillion to get the economy back up and running the way that it was running prior. And that's just the reality. It's going to take trillions of dollars more, which is going to do what? Cause inflation. And this goes right here to the money printer this is what Jerome Powell is going to have to do. He's going to have to print more money. And that's just the reality. There's no getting around it. That's it. There's no getting around it. That's just the reality as to where we are. And you really need to, this is why I keep trying to tell you, you really need to make sure that you're taking the time to do the necessary due diligence with your investments and really factoring in, what if you get a property and you can't get a tenant for 3 months? Or what if that tenant doesn't pay you for 3 months? Can you sustain it? What if after 60 days, 90 days, you may have to start paying that mortgage and you can't get that relief? These are things that you have to start thinking about, right? Because we're already seeing what's happening with the stimulus package for small businesses. And now we're starting to see news articles come out that a lot of the forbearance that's being offered, they're not really giving it out the way that they're supposed to. So that's another problem, right? Because they're saying at least 90 days, but some originators and banks, they're not even following those guidelines. So what if you get in a situation, you buy a property, your tenant's not paying you, and you don't have enough capital to hold that property, and the banks say, oh, we'll give you 60 days, but 60 days comes in, now you're stuck having to carry that mortgage. Because we're going to see 15% unemployment. We're going to see 20% unemployment. Right? We're going to see a major spike in unemployment. And then let's go best case scenario. Let's say I'm an idiot and I don't know what I'm talking about. And the economy bounces back. The pandemic goes away in the next 60 days. You really think that people are going to be excited and enthused to run back outside and start spending a lot of money? Not really. They're going to be very, very fearful. And remember, so much of our economy is based upon a consumption. So if people are in 70% of our economy is based off consumers going out and spending money. If the consumer is not going out and spending money because A, they lost their job, or B, they're afraid that they may get sick, that's still going to put further downward pressure on the economy. And that $1,200 that people haven't even received yet, that's not enough to get the economy up and running. So it's going to take trillions more dollars to get the economy where it needs to be. And I'm glad you've mentioned that about Airbnb owners are having a rough time. That's because they over leveraged themselves. And that goes back to my point, guys, about those of you who are entrepreneurs. And there's 297 of you watching this. Hit the like button. It helps the content rank. Thank you, guys. Please hit that like button. I keep hearing a V-shaped recovery, but back to the Airbnb. I'm going to get to you in a second, Big King, BJ. When you understand that you have some people with that they have like 15 or 20 properties that they've been renting out with Airbnb, they're in massive trouble. That's the problem because they're over leveraged. And this is what I'm trying to get to. For those of you that are real estate investors, be very mindful of debt. Remember, debt is money, but debt can be used. There's good debt and there's bad debt. And when you over leverage yourself, and that can become bad debt, even with real estate. Like cash flow in real estate is great until you may have to drop rents because the economy says so, right? Like think about it. Like you may have to drop your rents. Well, what does that do to your cash flow? These are things you have to think about. If your tenants lose their jobs, and like here in New York, they're waiving evictions. So let's say that you're in a situation where your mortgage company won't allow you to go into forbearance and the courts are backed up and you can't evict your tenant. Can you service that debt for the next 90 days, 120 days, right? These are things that you need to think about. You really need to do your due diligence and be very, very careful because, see, Gary Vee spoke about this and he said that there's so many people faking it till they make it. A lot of these people that you see on Instagram, like the Grant Cardones of the world, I'm not saying Grant's faking it because Grant makes good money, but there's a lot of people that they're living larger than they're supposed to. There's a lot of millionaires living paycheck to paycheck. I know that may sound odd and crazy to you, but they're making $1 million a month or $20,000 a month, but they're spending $25,000 a month, or they're spending $1.5 million a month because they have the jet, they have the Bentley, they have the Rolls Royce, and then you get this contraction in the economy where people stop buying their products and services, tenants stop paying them, and they're in trouble. And you're going to see a lot of these influencers and these fake it till they make it people, they're going to be in trouble. And like Grant, he had to go and downsize. He had to lay off 40 of his employees. You know why he had to lay off those 40 employees? Because he's over leveraged. Now, again, I'm not saying that it's anything wrong with it. That's part of the boom and bust cycle as far as laying off your employees. But I'm talking about you're going to see a lot of bankruptcies start to come down this pipe. Right? You're going to start to see a lot of bankruptcies start to happen. Someone else put something in here I want to talk about real quick. The V-shaped recovery. I don't believe that we're going to get a V-shaped recovery because, number one, there's no vaccine for the pandemic. So that wipes that out right there. There's no vaccine. Okay. The next problem is that you have a supply problem and then you have a demand problem. You have the supply chain disruption because what's happening overseas. So much of our manufacturing is overseas. Well, they're going to have to rebalance and consume a lot of that supply that's over there. Okay, that's a problem. then the next problem becomes we have a demand problem over here because people have lost their jobs. People are afraid to go out and shop. Think about the movie industry. What's going to happen to the movie industry? You really think that people are going to want to go into a packed movie theater after what's going on? It may take a year. Like 9/11. You know how many people are afraid to fly after 9/11 happened? So you have to really take your time out and understand that this is going to have so many ripples and waves. There's so much contagion. And you're going to have to see some of these originators, these brokers, go belly up. Some of them are going to have to go bankrupt. I don't believe it's going to be as bad as 2008 from the standpoint of the government's going to print so much money. See, this goes back to my point I was trying to say to you before. The money printer is going to go. Brr. See, Obama and them, they were reluctant. You have Trump saying Trump basically became a modern monetary theorist. He literally came out the other day, and I can play the clip for you in a second. And he said, because we borrow in our own currency and we're the reserve currency, it's our money, we can print as much as we want of it. So the reason why I don't think it's going to be as bad is that most people don't understand inflation. They don't understand what this chart means. They don't understand purchasing power. So they're going to be excited to get their paycheck. I believe that $1,200 is going to become permanent. It's basically going to become the UBI, the Universal Basic Income. I believe they're going to make it permanent. Maybe not 1,200, maybe 800 of it. And that's what it's going to be. And people are going to be happy with their government paychecks that they get every month, but it's going to cause inflation, which is why people like me who invest in hard assets like cryptocurrency, like cash flowing real estate, like gold and silver, especially precious metal mining stocks, they're going to perform very well in this market. And let's look at the markets and see what the markets did today. So we can see the market was basically flat coming into the market today. The Dow was up, I believe, 800 points in pre-market, and the S&P was up about 80 points, and then we finished flat for the day. Let's look at some of these markets real quick. Let's look at gold. See what gold is doing. Gold is basing. Gold had a pretty quiet day. Let's look at Bitcoin. See what Bitcoin did today. So overall, the market's been pretty quiet. And let's look at the S&P. See what happened with the S&P. Yeah. So as I said to you guys the other day, right? I would be fading this market. I would not be looking to go long at all. The only way I would be looking to go long is if I plan on holding something for 3 to 5 years. There's 317 of you watching, guys. Hit the like button. I would, if you're looking to hold something for the next 3 to 5 years, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, Facebook, stocks like that, then yeah, buy it, right? It's called personal finance. Find what works for you, right? If you're looking to hold something long term, but as far as like right now, I would be looking to fade this market and go short. There's no reason why I should be going long in this market. There's no vaccine whatsoever. The curve, they're saying that it's beginning to flatten in Spain, but in New York, we're still waiting for the pandemic to peak. So we're still waiting for the peak to happen here. And then they're talking about this is going to roll through multiple states. New Jersey's already talking about they're seeing a ramp up in cases. So at a certain point, you have to really start thinking about it. We don't have enough masks. We don't have enough ventilators. So I would not be looking to put money to work in a major way, for trades. Now, investments is different. If you plan on holding something long term, go for it. So I want to pull up the video with Trump where he's basically talking about being a MMT or printing money. And you have to really laugh at this stuff because this is a man who ran on the idea of getting rid of the Fed. Here we go, right here. I'll play it for you guys right here. Just pause it. Let's put this here. So let's make sure the button's off here. 1 second. Let's take this thing off. Wait, pause. Where's the other one?
The size of which could choke an entire herd of horses. And before you even had a chance to put pen to paper, people were already talking about the need for phase 4.
Yeah.
Do you see a need for phase 4, and where do you think the priorities are?
Well, it may be something where we're going to have to help states, because the states have been hurt very badly. And the beautiful thing about our country is 6.2 trillion, because it is 2.2 plus 4. It's $6.2 trillion, and we can handle that easily because of who we are, what we are. It's our money. We are the ones. It's our currency. We can handle it, and we can handle. I watched Jerome Powell the other day, and he did a good job. He said, "We'll do whatever we have to do." John, we have to do whatever we have to do.
You signed a bill today the size of which could choke an entire herd of horses. And before you even had a chance to put pen to paper, people were already talking about the need for phase 4.
Yeah.
Do you see a need for phase 4, and where do you think the priorities are?
Well, it may be something where we're going to have to help states, because the states have been hurt very badly. And the beautiful thing about our country is 6.2 trillion, because it is 2.2 plus 4. It's $6.2 trillion, and we can handle that easily because of who we are, what we are. It's our money. We are the ones. It's our currency. We can handle it, and we can handle. I watched Jerome Powell the other day, and he did a good job. He said, "We'll do whatever we have to do."
More advantages for people at the very top.
Mr. Trump,
Typical politician, all talk, no action, sounds good, doesn't work, never going to happen. Our country is suffering because people like Secretary Clinton have made such bad decisions in terms of our jobs and in terms of what's going on. Now, look, we have the worst revival of an economy since the Great Depression. And believe me, we're in a bubble right now. And the only thing that looks good is the stock market. But if you raise interest rates even a little bit, that's going to come crashing down. We are in a big, fat, ugly bubble. And we better be awfully careful. And we have a Fed that's doing political things. This Janet Yellen of the Fed. The Fed is doing political by keeping the interest rates at this level. And believe me, the day Obama goes off and he leaves and he goes out to the golf course for the rest of his life to play golf, when they raise interest rates, you're going to see some very bad things happen because the Fed is not doing their job. The Fed is.
So I wanted to play that because this video that I just played for you, this is him on the campaign trail. And I try to get a lot of you to understand you can't get caught up in the politics, the whole Republican versus Democrat ideology. They're all Keynesians. They all believe in problem, reaction, solution. Anytime there's a problem, print money. No one can go bankrupt. No one can fail. But you, the taxpayer, you can fail. Right? You can fail with your purchasing power. They have no problem letting you fail. They have no problem taxing you. Look what's happening with the whole small business loan debacle with the PPP program. You think American Airlines is going to have trouble accessing lines of credit? No. You think they're going to have time getting funding? No. Look what's happening with the mortgage industry right now. You think they're going to have any trouble getting a mortgage? Absolutely not. The government picks winners and losers. The problem is the 99%, we're the losers, which is why you have to have your capital in things that's going to appreciate with inflation. Because you just heard your president say they're going to do whatever they have to do, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, they're going to do it. So when people come on here and they call me an idiot and they say I don't know what I'm talking about, I lay out my case with what's happening currently, and then I show you the videos, I show you the articles, I walk you through how everything's going to play out. And I may miss a few things here or there, but the end goal is going to be more money printing. When you pull up this inflation data, this is from the government, this is all CPI data. You can go and look this up. Every year you have inflation, and remember, the inflation data doesn't factor in education and healthcare, right? So these numbers are much higher than the government's number that they give you. Right? Every year you get inflation. And they say inflation's low, 2%, 1%. If you believe inflation's 1%, I have a bridge to sell you. See, the problem, inflation's not bad if wages are rising with inflation. The problem is when income is not growing at the same rate inflation is growing. And all of the income gains is going to those who speculate in the stock market and not those who work. Right? So that becomes the problem. And we're going to continue to keep having these problems. So, my investments perform well. I'm not worried. My gold's doing well. Silver has a lot of potential to outperform, and that's where we are. So I'm going to take some questions now. Let's look into the chat. Miss Leah said politics is 100% politics. And, people get caught up into the whole, left versus right. The Republican versus Democrat is just the left and right wing of the same bird. That's it. It's no different. This is why people like Bitcoin. It's like the exit door from the Matrix. 100% JG. This is why. Because it's hard money. It's a system that you can understand. It's not a system that's complicated. And it's not a system that's reliant upon people going into debt. That's just not a healthy economy where the only way the economy can grow is by creating new debt. American Eagles is the best thing to start with. Don't get too fancy with trying to collect crazy, there's some coins that are rare, they have a premium built into it because it's not a lot of them. Excuse me. I tell you, man, get some Morgan dollars and American Eagles and call it a day. Keep it really, really simple. Keep it really, really, really simple. You don't have to overcomplicate this with your gold and silver buying. Buy the physical stuff. Stay away from the paper stuff unless you have to put something in your retirement account. There's no way that Bitcoin can lead to the mark of anything because no one controls it. I think you're trying to say the mark of the beast. There's no way it could because no one controls and owns Bitcoin. It's decentralized and open. So in terms of crypto, what's a good portfolio? Guys, I own way more than Bitcoin. I just believe in the protocols. Me personally, as I was telling you guys the other day, when you look at the internet, again, when you look at the TCP layer, when you look at the IP layer, when you look at HTTP, HTTPS, SMTP, those layers weren't able to capture the value and get a bulk of the wealth. Most of the wealth went to corporations. I believe my thesis and why I'm investing in protocols is I believe this is going to be the inverse. I believe that the protocols this time is going to be able to capture the value. where if Ethereum's the base layer, and then you have MakerDAO on top, and you have DAI, the synthetic token, and you have Chainlink, and you have Augur, and you have all of these different tokens and dApps being built on top of that ecosystem, that's where I believe you are going to, get that bang for your buck. And I don't believe that every cryptocurrency, because people like being slaves, right? Bitcoin is for people who want freedom, right? If you want freedom, Bitcoin is where you want to go. But, a lot of people, they don't like freedom. Most people, they want to be able to call customer support and get their password. So that's why you have to look at centralized coins, like a Tezos that, may be centralized, proof of stake. They may not be as decentralized as Bitcoin. Looking at a Neo or looking at coins like Ripple, because, most people aren't like me. They don't want to be outside of the system. So I hold those type of coins as well. I like Aeon. I like VeChain. I like Tezos. I like Monero. I own a whole host of different coins. Of course, the economy is already digital one-way, Croc. Over 95 to 97% of all transactions in money is digital. There's only like 3% of the world's money supply that's actually physical cash. Most of the cash is digital. That's in the most of the money is digital in the world. Thank you for the donation, Blake Rhodes Anderson. What are the best ways to purchase silver in? It depends on what are your goals for purchasing it, right? Like if you're just purchasing it for an investment, I would say that it's better to get it in bigger bulks, bigger amounts, because it'll be easier to sell. Like it's going to be hard to sell. Let's say you got 500 little coins, right? The bigger, the better. It's easier to just take a 10-ounce bar, take it in there and go sell it. So if you're looking to just flip it, I would definitely say get the bigger you can get, the better. Also, the premiums are lower. Like when you buy in bulk, the heavier you buy, the lower the premium. The smaller amount you buy, the higher the premium. That's just the way it goes. So I would definitely encourage you, if you have the money, to buy big. Don't buy small, because you're gonna pay a high premium for coins. That's just the reality. Um. I'm a real estate agent looking possibly to shift careers. I know real estate is done currently. Any suggestions? See, Chad Lopez, I don't think you should think that way. I really don't think that you should think that the real estate industry is done. I believe that there's going to be opportunity. It all depends on what market that you're in, right? Like that's the reality. Like, for example, you can't do like wholesaling and fix and flips in New York City, right? Like that strategy won't work. It just won't work, right? But you can do that type of stuff in, a place like Tennessee or Virginia. So real estate's really about location, right? They always tell you that's location, location, location. Money flows through New York. Money's going to flow through San Francisco. There's going to be deals to be done. So don't give up on your real estate career. You may need to tweak some things and maybe go into a different niche. Maybe become a more of a broker, like a real estate broker, and help people find apartments rather than just selling homes. Like be more flexible with your thinking. Don't be one of those people who, you just get stuck in the whole idea of like, well, I just want to sell homes. Like, maybe adjust your strategy. If you were selling multifamily, sell single family. If you can't sell single family, then rent units. Like there's going to be opportunity for you to, make money depending on your market. So don't just have that knee jerk reaction. And that's why I keep trying to stress to you guys, don't be a person who you allow fear to get the better of you or frustration because of what's happening in the economy. Try to stay positive. And I want to pass this along to some of you people, those of you who may be impacted. Udacity is offering free tech training to laid off workers due to the pandemic. So if you have been impacted, There's free tech training, right? Like use this time to, shore up some of your skills and get better at some things and maybe go in a different career path. So, but my personal opinion, I'm encouraging everyone go into technology, man. Tech is where it's at. That's where the money's going to be. If you look at all of the wealth that's being captured in the stock market, if you look at over the past decade, all of that wealth is in the tech, in tech companies, man. Learning how to build applications, learning how to structure deals, working with people in the hardware side and the software side. There's just a lot of opportunity in tech. So I would always tell people focus on technology. That's where the money's going to be at. No one knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is. And you don't need to know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. That's the whole purpose of Bitcoin. You don't need to know who's behind the transactions. It's a layer of privacy. It's just a settlement layer. The whole purpose of cryptography and being a cypherpunk is you want to use technology to bring privacy to the users of the technology. Like if I buy a pair of sneakers from Nike, why does Nike need to know my name? Why does Nike need to know my address? Why does Nike need to then store my information and my data and put a cookie on my computer and track me on every website that I go to? Right? See, for people who want privacy, I don't want to know, nor do I need to know who Satoshi Nakamoto is, because I respect Satoshi's privacy. Just like I don't want Satoshi to know who I am, right? I want privacy. I don't want a person to know who I am and what I'm doing. I want a level of anonymity when I transact on the internet. See, many of you're not used to being free. You're used to being treated in a fashion and abused where a person can take your data and they can sell it and they can market to you and they can influence you to do things and buy things that are not your own decisions, right? So I don't need to know, nor do I want to know who Satoshi Nakamoto is. Let's say Satoshi is a CIA agent. Let's go down a conspiracy theory rabbit hole. Let's say Satoshi Nakamoto is a CIA agent. What does that mean? What does that change? Okay, he's an agent. Does it change SHA-256? Does it change ECDSA, elliptical curve digital signature algorithms? Does it change ECDSA? No. So like when I see these things, it's like, it's laughable. So I'm learning Python on for the lay person, nothing. I'm learning Python on MIT OpenCourseware to start. That's good. But again, guys, take advantage of this course right here. I put it in there. Let's put this here. Paste. Go look at this article, man. There's going to be a lot of free stuff for you to go pick up some new skills, guys. There's a lot of opportunity for you to go and learn and pick up some new skills. Take advantage of these opportunities out here. Don't be a person who's stuck in fear, and don't let people on the internet scare you. There will be opportunity. The economy will come back. We don't know when. It may be 6 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, but it will come back. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see what's going here. Taylor said, I'm studying Python right now. Yeah, like I said, Python's a good place to start. JavaScript's the next place, and then go with Node.js. And those basic things will get you up and running. That's just a template, right? And then once you get it up, once you get to that point, then you can go and start really diving into software development, software engineering, etc. Remember, it's just a template. It's not telling you that you need to go down that path. Like, You may spend 2 or 3 weeks playing with Python and say, I like C#, or I want to go program with Solidity and focus on trying to build on top of Ethereum. Like, go explore and break things. That's the whole purpose. Like, go explore things, go try things, go learn things. I like to just point you in a direction to get your feet wet, and then after that, you take off and run. So there's plenty of ways that you can go ahead and learn. Like LMA 463 said, the economy is going to come back with a lot of inflation. We know that. That's why I own gold. That's why I own silver. That's why I own crypto. That's just the reality, because I want to be in assets that are going to appreciate faster than inflation. Okay. Well, that's another thing I noticed too, that now that my channel's starting to grow, I'm attracting a lot of trolls. I'm really starting to attract a lot of trolls to my channel. I don't know what you mean, a ledger backup pack for your crypto. I have my what's the name? I have my seed phrase, so I just back my crypto up that way. Like, as long as I have my seed phrase, I can, even if my ledger is destroyed or damaged, I can still recover my crypto. That's how I recover my crypto. No, I don't see it getting back to 3,800, but anything is possible. I'm not talking about you, Wheat Bread. I didn't call you a troll. I'm talking about Manolo Chavinez. I didn't call you a troll. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. I like questions, Wheat Bread. Yes. Monero. The only way Monero is not private is when you go through exchanges like Binance. Right? Like, when you go through exchanges like Binance or any other exchange that does KYC or does AML. KYC stands for Know Your Customer, and AML stands for Anti-Money Laundering. Anytime you have to identify your identity of who you are, your transactions aren't anonymous. If you're mining it, if you're transacting in it, it's anonymous. Monero, in my opinion, is what Bitcoin should be. Right? Monero is what most people thought Bitcoin was. Like, most people didn't know that Bitcoin was not totally anonymous. It's pseudonymous. What Monero is what Bitcoin should be. Now, Bitcoin is trying to add Taproot and Schnorr signatures to make it fully private. But the biggest problem with crypto is that we are centralizing it through exchanges. And whenever you have to identify who you are, you run that problem. But as long as you stay away from those type of exchanges where you have to reveal your identity and upload your ID, Monero is private. Trust me, I know. Monero is one of my favorite cryptocurrencies for obvious reasons. Yes, LMA, that's one of the problems. Like, the whole purpose was for us to be able to transact like through like local Bitcoins. And we're basically we're turning crypto into, we're corporatizing crypto, which is one of the biggest problems. See, Big King BJ, right? I don't like to say too much publicly about like how you can use Monero, because there are certain people watching, right? What I want you to do is, I want you to dive down that rabbit hole and start going to read some forums, especially the Bitcoin Talk forum, and go and start reading about Monero, and you'll learn how to really make your transactions private. That's the thing about the crypto community. You have to really spend some time reading things, and you'll pick up on what I'm saying really quickly if you start going to the Bitcoin Talk forum and you read about Monero, and how you should be conducting transactions, even Bitcoin transactions. There's ways that you can make your Bitcoin transactions private as well. So go and really do your due diligence on that. I promise you, Monero is a powerful coin. I would not be surprised if most exchanges don't ban Monero soon. As you can see right here, Monero is trading at $55 and it has less than $1 billion market cap. Monero is probably the best coin for privacy. But thank you for the donation. Appreciate it. Mark J is correct. He said the greatest wealth is eventually gained from recessions. Absolutely. It's made on the way down. You can make big money on the way down, and you can make big money on the way up. If you go to the Wall Street Bets Reddit thread, I seen a guy, he took like $1,000 or $1,500 and he turned it into almost 200 grand because he brought deep out of the money puts before the market crashed. Now, again, that's a lottery ticket mentality. You know how I feel about that, but he made big money. So you can make some really, really big gains. Same thing with day trading. Like most of the year when you're day trading, you're break even. Like for most of the year when I'm day trading, like I'll be up this month and down next month and up. You make a bulk of your money during these type of periods. 2 months to 3 months out the year is when you make most of your money. Right? So a bulk of your money is going to be, that's why I don't really recommend day trading to people, because you have to be in a financial situation where you don't need to live off of your trading. One of the worst positions to be in as a trader is when you have to depend on the money you make from trading to live, because now you're trading emotionally. You're not able to trade what the market gives you. You're trying to force the market to give you money. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that I fell into when I first started trading, where I needed to make money. That's one of the worst positions to be into when you need to make money, because you're going to overtrade. You're going to force things. You're going to hold things longer than you're supposed to. You're going to move your stop and you're going to lose more money. So that was one of the biggest things that I had to learn. When you're trading for day trading, like most of your money's made 2 to 3 months out the year, which is why you see that I moved away from it. I diversified out of day trading because I realized that it's good money. It's really, really good money. But, you have to deal with those mental swings. And sometimes you can be in a dark place when you're down $50,000, $60,000 in a month. That's one of the most difficult things to do, is when you're down, big money. I did not get your question on this silver report, Joel Hogan. I mean, you can post it in here. We can look at it. If you want me to post it in here and we can look at it. Boom, 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 boom. But yeah, like I said, with trading, so like a lot of dudes say, oh, I want to listen, trading is hard because it's more psychological than anything. Yes, I believe they're going to mandate that, Frost. I believe 100% they're going to mandate it. They're already talking about it on CNBC and MSNBC, where they're going to make you, like, when you go back to work, you're going to have to wear a bracelet saying that you've been tested and you were tested negative. And if you have been tested positive, your bracelet is going to be blue, and they're going to have the military, I think, like here in New York City. I don't know how it's going to be in every state. I'm just talking about here in New York. When they open back up the economy, they're going to have the National Guard on like every 5 blocks, and they're going to have testing like right there in the street, like drive-through testing, and you're going to have to get tested. Like, you're not going to be able to drive in certain parts of the city unless you can show your band and show that you've been tested and you've tested negative. So they're already putting that out there. Like, they're already floating the idea. Guys, this is the same thing with 9/11. After 9/11 happened, the Patriot Act came. KYC, AML, anti-money laundering laws, all of these different things. Now they have the whole thing with the real ID. So this is going to be serious. And this is why I keep trying to tell you guys, it's important that you heed what I'm saying to you. And you really start focusing on getting your house in order. And you start networking with people, building with people that are serious. Like the day and age of watching documentaries, the day and age of listening to lectures is over. If you're not woke at this point, then you're dead. You're done. You're done. At this point, now's the time to get serious, right? Oh, the Silver Report. I know who he is. I follow him. I know who you're talking about, Joel Hogan. I'll get to that in a second. I subscribe to the guy. I like the guy, the Silver Report. He has some good information. I don't get a chance to watch him, but back to what I was saying, I'll get to the guy, the Silver Report, in a second. Like, I follow him. See that? I'm subscribed to him. I'm subscribed to him. He puts out good information. But we was having this debate before. We were talking about Nipsey Hussle, right? And like a few people got mad, and I wasn't trying to put his legacy down or nothing like that. But what I was saying is that we are at a place right now in life where, in the world, if you don't know what you should be doing at this point, it's too late, right? If you don't know what you're supposed to be doing at this point, the time for the games and trying to figure it out and all that is over. It's either you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. That's it. It's either you're going to make things work or you're not. It's either you're going to focus on building power, wealth, and influence or you're not. It's either you're going to get together with your people and try to put something together or you're not. Whether that's getting land, getting some type of compound, pulling your resources together. That's it. All of this, watching lectures, watching DVDs, all that's over with. Listen, you done had Khalid Muhammad, you done had the Black Panthers, you done had Dr. Ben, Farrakhan, whatever woke leader you needed to have to get you woke. You done had Alex Jones, you done had David Icke. I mean, whatever you're into, whether you believe in aliens, whether you believe in Behold the Pale Horse, you had Aldous Huxley with A Brave New World, you had Message to a Black Man with Elijah Muhammad, you had William Cooper with Behold the Pale Horse. Listen, at a certain point, you got the information. Now it's just a matter of, are you going to do it or not? Are you going to start putting a plan into motion, or are you going to sit around all day long watching people tell you about the problem? I don't have time to I'm not going to sit around all day long and listen to you talk to me about why I'm poor and why I can't do this. I don't have time for that. I want to talk to somebody. Okay, what you buying? Okay, this is what you buying. Okay, where you trying to go? You want to try to get this piece of property? Like, I don't have time to sit around all day long and talk about problems all day long. Like I don't got time for that. Like Paul said, I'm not sitting here listening to Hidden Colors all day long. I'm an action person. Okay, you got a plan. What's the plan? You want to buy some real estate? Cool, let's buy some real estate. You want to buy some crypto? Put it in a multi-signature wallet. Let's pool our money together. Okay, let's do that. You want to start this business? Okay, let's do it. That's what I'm about. I don't got time to be sitting up here listening to you talk to me about the UCC or the BCC and 60 megahertz this and my gut health. Listen, that's fool's talk. I don't got time for that. You know what I'm saying? All right, you got 20,000, I got 50,000. Let's make it work. All right, you found there's some land over here. This section's yours. This section's mine. All right, that's where I'm at. That's how I move. I don't. All of that other stuff. Listen, all that other stuff to me is clown talk. I'm just being honest with you. Like, I don't have time to debate you about a bunch of useless stuff that's not going to improve anyone's life. I want some work to be done. You see, I want work to be done. That's it. Like when you talk to me about like this is what you want to do. I don't want to hear about let's debate about this. Like I don't got time for that. You know, I told you guys I went down that rabbit hole of. Let me answer the question too, because I before I go on my rant. Ray's Realm, a few days ago, you posted a video about manipulation, heavyweight material. Thank you, Ray's Realm. I answered your question too. I don't know if you was in a live stream. Excuse me. I answered your question about Singapore, but I took the video down because I was having a bad day on Sunday and I just wasn't in the right headspace. So I'm going to redo the video on Sunday for you guys. I apologize. I just had a bad day on Sunday. Joel Hogan said the Silver Report has a YouTube channel. Can you view a couple videos and tell me if they are credible? They are short videos twice a day. Yeah, I like his content, you know, but with everyone on the internet, you have to be able to take it with a grain of salt. But I like his content. He's pretty good. Most people talk all action. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't have time for all that. Listen, guys. Going back to what I was saying, I went down that path of Think and Grow Rich, Asking is Giving, the Esther Hicks books. I went through the Rhonda Burns, The Secret, Kevin Trudeau, Why You Want to Be Rich. I listened to Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar. I did all that positivity, humming, chanting, you know, Think and Grow Rich, and none of that made me any money. You know when I started making money? I started making money when I started focusing on doing work. That's when I started making money. I started making money when I got out here and I started doing work. When I got away from all of the, you know, fantastical, magical, you know, kumbaya stuff and I started doing the work, that's when I started making money. I'm an action taker. Because guess what? It's never going to be perfect. I promise you. It's never going to be perfect starting a business. It never will be. There will always be bumps. There will always be obstacles, challenges, all the time. All the time. I'm saying all the time. And if it worked for you, A, B, C, D, God bless you. God bless you. More power to you. Yeah, Mr. G. Mr. G said I feel the same way. Enough with the docs. Yeah, like I don't. How many times do I need to listen to you talk to me about the problem? You know what's going on. What's the solutions? World Citizen said, what do you think of treasure ledgers? They've been proven that they can be hacked. Right? So once a ledger is proven that it can be hacked, I don't want it. I don't want it. So to me, ledger's the best way to go. There's another one I came across that's actually better than a ledger. I forgot the name of it though. And that's true. My first business was rocky, but you do learn as you go, of course. Big King BJ, I plan on making a course. I'm actually right in the process right now of talking with a guy from Blockstream and seeing if he wants to partner with me on the course. Because I want to have a big name person work with me on the course who can really dive into the development side of Bitcoin. Like I understand the technical side of how Bitcoin works, but I want a person to be able to teach a lot of you who may want to build on top of Bitcoin or build on top of Ethereum. Because like I don't know how to program in Solidity. I've never like built anything on Solidity. I've played around with it a little bit, but I'm not an expert that can teach you how to code and build on Solidity. So what I plan on doing is I want to get a person that really knows how to program in Solidity on the program with me so that he can help you guys really learn how to build stuff and learn how to code and develop. Like one thing about me, when I bring something to the market, I want it to be professional. I want it to be clean. I want it to be like, I'm not like these other guys that you meet in these communities that want to give you, you know, half-baked products. Like when I launch something, it's going to be done. Like all of the videos are going to be there, the training modules, the website, the back end, the front end, everything's going to be done. So like that's just the type of person I am. As you can see, I pride myself and doing things the right way. I don't want to, because one thing about me, I don't ever want someone to say that I've scammed them or I underdelivered. Like, when you pay for something from me, it's going to be done. You know what I'm saying? I trust me, Mr. G. I know. I've been through that. You know, and my course is not going to be more than like $50. I'm not charging, like, if I'm going to make money, it's going to be based upon the quantity of people that join. I'm not going to be trying to price gouge people and try to charge them thousands of dollars. I just don't believe that I don't believe that that's how things should be done. I believe that you should give people a decent price product. You know, $50 is a fair price for a product. Options are beautiful, Rob Hugs. They're just very complicated to learn. Options isn't easy to learn. The learning curve for options is hard. Trading stocks and futures is much easier. Chef Salmon, there are too many people telling you so many different things. Makes it so confusing. Then when you start, another person comes along telling you that person is wrong. About what, Chef? Um, yeah, no problem, Mr. G. No problem. You can make money on YouTube. There's so many ways you can make money. The problem that a lot of you have is you think that a person's going to make you money or the course is going to make you money. And the reality is, what really makes you money is doing the work. The trial and error is what makes you the money. The money is made in doing the work. Like, remember, I told you I struggled for years before I became successful, right? I had to put the work in. Malcolm Gladwell has his book Outliers. It takes 10,000 hours to become a professional at something. Go back and watch my first YouTube videos, and then look how much I've progressed. Look how much better my speaking has become over that time period. Look at the quality of my videos over the time period. You improve as you go. You have to do the work. See, so many of you think, okay, well, I took a course. Like, the course isn't going to make you money. What makes you money is doing the work, is implementing what you've learned. Like, I get emails and I get DMs every day of people who tell me, like, they took the information I gave them about starting a business and they started a business. And then they were able to go and get funding for that business. And thank you for the donation, Alpha G Rock. Alpha Rock G. I mean, like, that's how you do things, by doing it. You know, like, you got to go out here and do some things. Like, that's how you make things work in the business world. You do it. You don't talk about it. You do it. If you do it, you'll be fine. Right? If you may lose a little bit of money here or there, that happens. But you should lose money. You should lose money because of the market. Like, you should lose money like, okay, that was just a bad deal. You should never lose money because a guy had on gold shoes and two half-naked women and you gave him $100,000. That's just being a sucker, right? Like, you should lose money because you brought a bad real estate deal. You know, you should lose money because you went long a stock and it went down. Like, you should lose money by doing the business work, right? Like, you should lose money like, okay, I brought this cryptocurrency and, you know, it went down in value. Like, that's how you should lose money, by going through the process. A lot of you are losing money because a guy could fast talk you and slick talk you, you know, and that goes back to your value. And I'm not talking about you per se. I'm just talking in general right now. I'm attacking you in general. But a lot of you get burned because you buy into, you know, this facade. That's just not life, you know, like, that's not what you should be aspiring to do and become. Like, having a bunch of half-naked women and, you know, gold shoes and scheming and jumping from here to there, that's just not what it is. That's a good question, Tyree Barnes. I did a video on that yesterday. With the SBA loans, we have no idea what's going to happen with the SBA because they change it so much, right? They change stuff so much. So I would tell you See, if you need the loan, get the loan, right? And figure it out as you go. Don't blow the money and just pay it back if you need be, right? Like they started off that it was a grant, then they changed it overnight. You know, like I had some guy come on my video. As I said, guys, I'm starting to attract a lot of trolls, right? Thank you for the donation, Darnell Edmond. I had a guy come on my video and say, "Oh, you need to work on your reading because it clearly says $1,000 per employee." Now, if you go back and you watch my previous video, I actually read the legislation from the CARES Act to you. In the CARES Act, it said it was a $10,000 grant specifically in the actual legislation. The SBA changed it to a loan and it's $1,000 per employee. They just changed it overnight, right? Then it says $10 million in the legislation. If you go back and watch the video, I read the CARES Act to you. But see, that's just a trolling, right? They're changing it overnight, right? Like they change it. And so I would take the loan, I would hold the money and use it if I need it. And if I don't need it, then just pay it back. Whenever you're borrowing money, right? You have to be responsible with money. One thing about me, like I'm very diligent about borrowing money. When I borrow money, I'm very careful what I spend. Like I don't BS with money that's borrowed because that's money that has to be paid back. Like I never understood how people could take a credit card and they'll go buy like a pair of shoes that's really expensive or like an outfit, and you're paying for an outfit that you purchased in October and you'll still be paying for it in March. Like you're paying for something that you were only able to wear one time, but you're paying for it 5, 6, 7 months later because you're paying the interest. Like that's foolish to me. Like that never made any sense. Like whenever you're taking out loans and money, you need to be using it for business purposes, right? If it's for business, use it for business. Don't play with debt because it can stack up on you quick. Um, I can't just give you, that's really hard to say off the top of my head, Darnell Edmond. I would just simply say that like with debt in my business, like for example, if I'm credit card cycling, like for example, I like to max out a credit card because like when I'm trying to build up a credit limit, I'll max out the credit card and I'll balance transfer, right? So like there's ways where I can take the money off the credit card. I don't spend the money. So let's say I have a $10,000 credit card. I'll take $9,000 off the credit card and I'll sit it in a bank account. And I'll just simply take $1,000 to $1,500 every month and I'll pay the credit card back. I'm not spending the money. I'm simply taking the money off so that I can show the bank, hey, look, I can carry a big balance and pay it back. That's if I'm credit cycling and I'm trying to build the credit limit. I don't do that all the time. I only do that when I'm doing something specific. But like if my business is healthy and I'm not trying to increase my credit limits and everything's fine, I don't really want to go over 40% of debt. Right? Like I don't want to ever be over 40% on my debt ever. Like over 40% is just too much in my personal opinion. Like I see people, they over leverage themselves with debt, and then something like this happens, and then now your income, your revenue changes, right? You have to think about it. Like if your lifestyle is, predicated based upon, there we go, reconnected. So me, I'm very careful with like going over those thresholds because I want to make sure that I have cash to take advantage of opportunity when the market, they just change stuff. And that's the problem with government. And there's 235 watching, guys. Hit that like button. What is your opinion on mortgages? Do you own a home? Yeah, I personally don't want to own a home. I think that I believe in opportunity cost for money. And opportunity cost for money, I feel like there's a better reward to risk putting that 60, 80, or $100,000 in crypto than putting it in real estate. In my opinion, I'm going to get more. My money's going to perform for me much better. I'm going to be able to 4 or 5x my money rather than having it parked in real estate. I'm not a fan of owning a home, right? I'm just not. I like Grant Cardone's strategy when he says, rent where you live and own where you own, or something like that, he says. So I own real estate to cash flow, but I don't personally want to live in and own anything. I want to be flexible to move and do stuff that I want to do. Now, as I get older, obviously I'm going to want to like own my own place. But like right now, I'm young. I want to be flexible. I want to move around. I don't want the maintenance problem. And, I think the market's grossly overvalued and we have a lot to go down. So, me personally, I'm not a fan of owning a home as far as personal residence. Now, again, I own multifamily units. That's for cash flow. Live where you want and invest where it makes sense. Yeah. I like what you said, Taylor, too. Like, do you ever own your home? And the answer is no, you really don't. I can do that too. So I don't understand what you're saying, Tyree Barnes. So I have I'm I have no idea about anything when it comes to life insurance. I'm not a I don't know anything about insurance, life insurance. That's not my thing. Uh yeah, something like that, Mr. G. He said something like that. And I agree with him on that. But again, remember it's different for everyone. It's different for everyone. Like everyone is different. Some people owning a home is better for them because they're just not good investors. Like the average person isn't a good investor. No, I went to Long Island University, Brooklyn campus. I went to a boarding school in Andover, New Hampshire. That's when I really started getting a different perspective on, life and stuff like that. But most of my time, I lived in the quote unquote hood. Played ball at Rice High School in Harlem. Played with the New York Gauchos, for AAU. Was ranked in the country basketball. I just, I picked up my freshman year. No, my freshman. Yeah, I think it was my freshman year was 2008. I was sitting in my locker room, and I never forget looking at the the news channel Bloomberg, and they were talking about a recession, and I didn't have no idea what the hell a recession was, what it did, what it meant. I just saw that we were losing I think 100,000 jobs a month or 200,000 jobs a month, something crazy like that. And I was just interested. And then I got involved in a network marketing company, one of those pyramid scheme things. And, went down that rabbit hole. Then I watched 9/11 Coincidences. I think it was by Luke Randowski and Alex Jones. And then I went down that conspiracy theory rabbit hole. I got quote unquote red pilled. I started reading more and more books. Then I came across Peter Schiff. Then the Occupy Wall Street was going on, and I just became so into what was happening in the economy, because I never seen that before. I was young, I was 18 years old, so I was first time being away from home and college like that. Besides when I was at the boarding school, so I just started picking up business and picking up economics. And after that, I just went down that path, and then I went down to David Icke, the Jordan Maxwell's, the reptilian shapeshifting aliens. And then, this is back when I used to smoke a lot of weed. I was younger back then. One day me and my friends, we were sitting there, we were smoking. And I said to him, I said, you know what? If these reptilian shapeshifting aliens are so powerful, and they run the world, why are they hiding for? And me and my friend looked at each other and said, you know what? You're right. And then 2012 came. The Mayan calendar was wrong. The world didn't end. No cataclysmic event happened. The world didn't get flooded. And I said, you know what? I'm done with conspiracy theories. Right? I said, I'm done with the conspiracy theory stuff. And I got into more reality-based stuff. And that was that, you know. And then I went to a school here in New York City. I went back to school. It was a high-level school. I'm not going to say the name. But I went back to school and yeah, got my education. Went back to school, got my education at a really, really good school here in New York City. And then after that, ended up dropping out again because I got a job opportunity. And when I got the job opportunity, I said, yep, well, I left school again. And that was that. So, you know, and that was the reality. And then ever since then, you know, I don't want to see young people go down that rabbit hole because you waste so many years of your life. You know, I wasted 3 years of my life following these crazy people. You know, it was like, it's pointless. Like, I don't know why I was listening to, you know, this crazy stuff that I could have been focused on building stuff. Like, that was 3 years of my life buying DVDs, buying books. I mean, I learned stuff, but I could have been focused on really building something for myself. You know, so I really think that you should spend more time trying to build something in your life. You know, you know. So and then after that, you know, I mean, listen, I like a good conspiracy theory, because it forces you to ask questions. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a conspiracy theorist, but there's something wrong when you stop living your life and you become paranoid that the world's going to end. You like see that's. I'm not saying that you shouldn't question things. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. You should always question everything. What I'm saying is that when you shut down your life and you stop living, like I got to the point where I got scared. I was paranoid, and you know, I didn't want to like. I got into this self-destructive phase of my life where I was just sitting around all day, you know, talking about conspiracy theories. And I wasn't building nothing in my life, right? I was 20, 21, 22, 23 years old. I should have been out living life. I should have been out doing things with my life and building things. But instead, you know, I was, you know, cooped up in my room watching David Icke and talking about reptilian shape-shifting aliens. And it's like, that was 3 years of my life I could have been finishing up with school, you know, but school's a scam and all, and I had the opportunity to go for free. You know, so I have to you have to balance that type of stuff, right? You know, like I always stress that to you. Like, I don't care if you're an Umar guy, a Tariq guy, whoever you follow what you want to follow, man. But don't get caught up in this whole internet stuff, man. Because for most of these guys, it's a hustle, man. I promise you, right? For most of these people, it's a hustle. Take a few more questions. Just purchased my first piece of gold. Appreciate you taking the time to give information. No problem. I'm glad you went through it. Isaiah Smith says, I went through my phase in 2015, 2017. Yeah, a lot of people went through that. Your channel is a breath of fresh air. Thank you, Angelica Pickles. You will be at 100K subs soon. Glad I'm here early. No problem, Big King BJ. I hope I can get there. Self-made. I got my rabbit hole through Professor Griff route with the music industry. Now I just focus on the economy mostly. Yeah. You know, again, there's nothing wrong with starting to do the conspiracy theory, but grow from it. You know, just grow out of it. I have a charity thing that I do in my local community that I do with young kids. we all at some point have to readjust our priorities exactly one way, Crook. Uh, Always appreciate your perspective in the info that you provide. No problem. I found this channel. You gave me a new perception on gold and silver. No problem. And I graduated from carpentry trade school before 17. That's good for you. That's good. Um, Raise Rum, yeah, I plan on doing more videos like that. It's just like I said, it's sometimes like Sunday, for example, I had a really, really bad day, man. I was so backed up with stuff and then trying to figure out what's going on with these loans. Can I get the loans? Do I qualify? Like it was like a lot. So, but yeah, I plan on doing a lot of videos like that because like I was talking about, like TikTok, like people don't understand how these apps are tracking you and what's going on. I don't know anything about Mi Pasa, the new blockchain technology. I haven't, you, as I told people before, guys. There's so much like information coming out all day long. It's damn near impossible for me to keep up with everything. Like so. If I get a chance, I'll take a look at it. But it's like I'm so far behind. Like I'm still playing around with trying to develop something on Bitcoin. Like I trade, then I do the videos. Like I got a personal life, so it's like it's hard to keep up with everything. It's a lot of stuff going on. Um, but yeah, like I was saying before, like so much of your data is being copied and mined. Like your phone knows more about you than you do. Your phone knows when you sleep. Your phone knows when you wake up. Your phone knows what type of women you like or what type of men you like. Your phone listens to your most intimate and personal conversations. Your phone goes into the bathroom with you. Many of you take your phone into the shower with you. Like you would be surprised the amount of data that they have on you. Now, there's a show called Westworld, and I would really encourage a lot of you to go watch the show Westworld because the whole purpose of the show is how the hosts want to turn into humans, but the humans want to be more like the robots. But the whole time, the humans are being watched by other robots so that they can clone the brain and make the robots human. And I was watching it and I was saying, like, they were basically gathering data on the humans at the park to then clone them. And people like Elon Musk, they believe that we live in a simulation. Like, Elon Musk is much smarter than me. He talks about, that our reality isn't real, that it's a simulation. And in in the show Westworld, there's a simulation in the simulation. Like it's a really, 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 really powerful show. It's slow and it's kind of boring at the beginning, but like the second season, it picks up. I really would encourage you to go and watch that show if you have if you're home and you have some free time. It's a really good show, man. A lot of stuff that make you question things. Inception is sort of like Inception, like you're in a dream inside of a dream. It's like a cross between Inception and The Matrix, is what I would say. It's a really good show. Um, ABCD said I followed Tariq Nasheed since 2005, but never brought a damn thing from him. Listen, Tariq Nasheed is funny. He to me, Tariq Nasheed's like a Rush Limbaugh. He's like the black version of Rush Limbaugh. He's entertaining. Like I don't follow none of the stuff that he says, like as far as like my life, but like when he went in on Umar, like that's like one of the best roasts I've ever seen. You know, so um, it was hilarious. Like Tariq Nasheed's funny. I like if I want to be entertained and laugh, I go watch Tariq Nasheed. Question Everything, TrueTube.com says, watch this movie called The 13th Floor. It's about all of that. I've seen that movie already. That's an old movie, The 13th Floor. I've seen that movie years ago. It's a good movie. Yeah, I've seen The 13th Floor. I agree, Dee Dee's pharmacy. He's very dangerous for people who don't know any better. He is, he's very dangerous. Boyce is dangerous too. I believe Boyce Watkins is very dangerous. I believe Tariq Nasheed is very. I believe a lot of these guys on these platforms for young people who may not know any better, they're very dangerous. The 13th Floor is really good. The 13th Floor is good. Go watch it. Navigation. Oh, I didn't know that. Ray's Realm. That's pretty good. Westworld and Inception are co-written by the same person. These guys are very, very dangerous to the young mind because they instill these anti-intellectual ways of thinking into into young men's minds and young women's minds, and that to me is very, very dangerous. Very, very, very dangerous. Life is not as black and white as they try to make it be, and as simple as people try to. It's much more complex. Roscoe said Boyce was telling people to invest in Bitcoin and could not do a decent job of explaining it, and he is a PhD in finance. It's insane. If you go watch most Boyce Watkins videos, like, he doesn't go into depth about anything. Like, when you watch what Boyce Watkins does, and I'm not hating on him, but he just reads an article. Like, he doesn't illustrate anything. He doesn't draw anything. He doesn't pull up any he doesn't pull up a spreadsheet. He doesn't pull up any graphs, anything. Like, it's like most of his videos is just him talking about people or Lizzo. Like, that's not, that's not something but listen, he understands. Again, guys, like I said before, it's a reason why they go after the Breakfast Club. It's a reason why so many people go on that Breakfast Club platform or these other type of shows, because they're tapping into, like Vlad or the Breakfast Club. They're going after low information people, right? They're going after people who they know don't care. They're not going to really research. They're not going to really take the time out to go beyond the surface, right? Some people just want to consume something, right? So they'll just buy a product and that's that. Like, oh, I bought a product. Like, they don't really want to do the real work. Like, it's just, that's what it is. I think that I never read Powernomics. But and I'm probably going to sound like a hypocrite now, but me, I'm honest. I tried my best to be honest. I think that a lot of Yvette's, I vehemently disagree with Yvette when it comes to ideology, but a lot of her criticisms that she had about Claude Anderson was true. You have to see, one thing about me, I give credit where credit is due. You have to give her credit. A lot of her criticisms that she put out about the book, when it was written, how it was written, that time period, it was fair criticism. Like, when you understand talking about buying a politician, and you got people like Bloomberg that has billions of dollars, like with Citizens United, like, that book doesn't work today, right? Like, that book doesn't work today. I respect his work that he's put in. I respect the things that he's done, but the reality is that it's not relevant today. No one's disrespecting him. It's a fair criticism. Like, what he's saying today doesn't work. It's just the reality. It doesn't work in today's like I don't understand where people come from with this idea that like just because a person's old, like I just have to like follow what he's saying. Like like I don't have to read the book because he's talking about what's in his book on the show. Like this is common sense stuff, right? Like listen, if what a person is saying his legacy and book is about, and he's saying things that are just factually not true right now, like you're not buying no politician. like like you're not buying no politician. If you believe that you're buying a politician in 2020, you're foolish. You're foolish. You don't have no money. like once you have an understanding of the data, there's no way in hell that you think you're buying a politician. You don't have any money. Okay, I'll do you a favor. You can unsubscribe. I'll block you. I'll do you a better favor. Like, 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 like we just get to a place where we just feel like, oh, like I have to just listen to what you say. Like, and I didn't disrespect him. I didn't call him out his name. I didn't say that he's dumb. I didn't say anything negative about the man. Right? Like I didn't say anything negative about him. But see, this is emotionalism. I didn't say nothing negative about him. What did I say about him that was disrespectful? What did I say about him that was negative? I just said what the truth is. The information that he's putting out is just not up to date with today. It's just not. It's not a reality. It's just not. Same thing with economics. How can you compete? Think about this. How can you compete on a large level when American Airlines can run their company in the ground and still get bailed out? This is not complicated. This is not complicated at all. How are you going to compete business-wise? They're telling you to go out here and do business. We just got to do business, right? How are you going to just do business when you're competing against multinational corporations that can get deals that you can't get, that can get loans that you capitalists through and through? I believe in group economics. I believe in group economics. I believe in doing for self. I'm a bootstrap on airlines. There's no way in hell I'm going to tell you that. There's no way. Like, I understand reality. You do what you have to do so you can eventually do what you can. You do what you have to do so eventually you can do what you can. But when a person is telling you that you just going to do black business and you're going to compete with a company that can buy back their stock, that can go into the repo market and get billions of dollars at 0% interest, run their company into the ground and get a bailout and then go gobble up smaller companies, and you telling me you're going to compete with that, you're a fool. You're not operating in 2020. If any person believes that you can compete with that, you're crazy. When Bloomberg at the last minute can come in and basically buy his way into the debate, you're crazy. You're crazy. You're crazy to believe that. Like that's illogical. Like I said, it doesn't make any. And again, like I said, listen. Me and Yvette is on the opposite sides of ideology, but I give credit where credit is due. I'm not a hater. I respect the work that her and Tone has put in. I respect the fact that they lead with information, and I respect the fact that they stand on information. They stand on data, because people call me a flip-flopper. No, as the facts change, my opinion will change. As the facts change, my opinion will change. And that's just the reality. Okay. Well, I'll let you stay here for a while, Eerie Blackfire. I'll get rid of you now. I'll let you rock for long enough. You know? Right? But again, so what I'm telling you is I'm not telling you not to do for self. I'm not telling you not to build a bit. I'm telling you, you're not going to get the government's not going to support you. We know that. We already know that. They made it very clear they don't support reparations. They're not going to help you. So you have to do what you have to do. I get that. I'm intelligent enough to understand two things can exist at the same time. You should have if you're going to be in politics, you should have a code. If you're going to be in politics, you should have demands because everyone else does, right? That's common sense. This is not complicated, right? Now, when you start talking all that anti-business stuff, listen, at the end of the day, I'm a businessman. I'm going to do what I have to do. But I understand there's levels to it. There's limitations to where I can go and what I can do. I know that. I know that. Like, so if that makes me a flip-flopper, then cool. Listen, all right, I'm a flip-flopper. But I know that things are never just black and white. like it's just never that way. You know? Like, I prefer the FBA B1 message because that's the reality of what you're going to have to do, right? Like, they're showing you politically, they're not giving you anything. So you're going to have to do for yourself. You're going to have to work with each other. They're showing you that, right? We can all, in a utopian society, if I had it my way, reparations across the board, all right, yeah, we're done. If I had my way, right? But we don't live in that world. So we have to live in a world of, I need to work with people who want to work with me. And I like that, Isaiah Smith. My philosophy is I get in where I fit in and call it a day. Thank you. That's it. That's it. I like that. Thank you. And that's my philosophy. It's always been my philosophy. There's what should happen and then there's what does happen. Right? And that's just the reality. Now, some people may not like that answer, and that's cool too. You don't have to like the answer. That's just the answer. But like I said, when you listen to stuff like Claude Anderson is saying, it's just not relevant today. That's like me talking to you about a VCR. When you can stream something to your phone. Like, imagine me coming to you and trying to sell you a VCR. You're going to look at me like I'm crazy. If I went to a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old right now and tried to sell them a VCR, they would think I was crazy. Because it's not relevant today. When you can stream something straight to your phone, it's not relevant. It's just that's it. Like, it's just the reality, right? Like, things change and things evolve, and things that you have to evolve with information. That's just the reality. Like, but a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people are just what I've noticed is we live in this anti-intellectual society. Like, for people to claim to be woke, they're very, very anti-information. And I never understood that. Like, they're, anti-information. Like, two things can exist at the same time. Two things can exist at the same time. And if a person makes a fair assessment or critique about a person, you have to give them their credit. Like, Yvette made a very fair criticism about Claude. Now, you may not like her tone. You may not like her rhetoric. She could be very, I don't know the word I can say, but I wouldn't say disrespectful, but it's borderline disrespectful, but, I don't get caught up in that. I get caught up in the message, not the messenger, right? Her critiques were fair. They were fair critiques. And you just got to be fair. Yeah. I like that. People are content with complacency. People are rooted in habits. That's just ignorant mix of stubbornness. People just don't enjoy learning nowadays. Exactly. You know? And that's what I said before. One thing about me, I pride myself in, as the facts change, my opinion will change. Right. But if if you tell me politics is the solution, right? And I start doing politics, and then I realize that the politics it's not working. Although that may be a good solution if we could get it to work, if once I see it's not working, I have to stop doing it, right? I have to start thinking about something else. Mark J, I don't remember the exact words, but it was something to the effect that what he was saying about Citizens United, about buying politicians. I think he said like he was the only person doing the reparations work. I don't really remember because I wasn't really watching it like that. And I guess like, Yvette was talking about how his work is not that like is old and outdated, and his book is outdated and stuff like that. And again, his book was written for a different time period. It was written for, the 80s and 70s. And that's a reality. And that was a fair, again, that's a fair critique. Because things have changed, especially politically. Like I said, look at the stimulus package. Look how they were able to easily come up with $6 trillion. Look, just think about that. Like they was able to come up with $6 trillion out of the blue. Like Claude's book doesn't talk about the federal does. If you ever listen to Claude Anderson, does he talk about the Federal Reserve? Does he talk about fractional reserve banking? Does he talk about trade deficits and trade imbalances? Like, what does he talk about besides race and racism? Like, if you're an economist and you're not talking about, trade imbalances and trade deficits, if you're not talking about the Federal Reserve, if you're not talking about quantitative easing, if you're not talking about zero interest rates policies, you're not talking about mortgage-backed securities. When I listen to them speak, I don't really see them talking about anything that's like economic based as far as like what's happening in the economy today. It's all, about race and racism. And it's just like, I don't want to talk about that all day long. Right. Like, talk to me about some stuff that can empower me to go make some moves. Like stuff like, I don't, like I said before, and I'm not here to knock them, man. Listen, this is just not for me. Those, like I said, those people are not for me. I'm just be honest with you. Like I need more to stimulate me. Like it takes more than that to keep my attention. I listen, like, saying, yeah, exactly, Roscoe. And that's what it's low hanging fruit. It's not stimulating any conversation. Hmm. Yeah, but we're not talking about business. But in all their critiques, she never offers us a superior solution. How can you critique a business book when she's never had a business? Again, that's flawed logic. That doesn't even make any sense. What you're saying, Mister Rooks or Rocks? You can critique anything. Like you don't have to have something superior to critique something. A critique is an opinion, right? Like it was a fair critique. Like you can't tell me if you're telling a person you have a solution and the solution isn't relevant to today, then it's not a solution. He's on the Breakfast Club touting his book as being a solution. And that's just not a reality. That's just not a reality. But guys, it's been 2 hours. I'm gonna end the stream here. We've been rocking for 2 hours. I don't want to keep it too long because we went left. Please like the video, share the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, join the mailing list. Thank you to everyone who's donated. I appreciate it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.